So now my talk is about the silence cycle of violence. So I have been a soldier. I've been trained in the military academies in the national defense. The country spent a lot of money in preparing me as a soldier, and we've been through National Defense Academy, which is one of the best training institutions that can one can go through. It's not just a military academy; it's a great, I can say, great, the best MBA in the world you can earn in this institution, because it pushes you to the limits of physical, mental, emotional, moral, and every which way, and you explore a new you when you come out of that place, and you learn to exploit opportunities against adversities, and that's the business of winning wars. And that explains how we've been it's about how commanders seize the opportunity, just like you business people would look out for opportunities at times of war in your thing against your adversaries. We also look out for opportunities to counter them and win over them. So I went to NDA. I was commissioned to 4 Guards, which is one of the finest battalions. Today we are celebrating, the Prime Minister was in Bangladesh, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the War of Liberation of Bangladesh, when our country was pretty weak, and we were 50 years ago, we went a very far. We had the whole world arrayed against us, including the United States, siding with a dictator, and our country liberated. And my battalion, 4 Battalion, the Brigade of Guards, was responsible for liberation of Dhaka, in the sense they reached there. They gave the guard of honor to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman when it over. It's a very proud battalion that I was privileged to be commissioned into. And then I earned my award in 8 Guards in Manipur, Tamenglong. One thing good about the army is they always give opportunities to people. I had a little bit of a difference with my commanding officer. And then the army said, oh, we need to test him again. So they sent me to this killing fields. In those days, Manipur, 1994, was caught in the throes of Kuki-Naga clashes, fight amongst insurgents, fight for independence and other things. So despite the best training or the best pedigree that you might have, as a soldier, no one will ever tell you how much it hurts when you get shot. No one tells you how do you recover in the silence when you lie down in a hospital bed, looking at the ceiling, when your leg is blown off and your shoulder blown off. I was posted to 8th Battalion, the Brigade of Guards, which was in Manipur, which was deployed in counterinsurgency. It's a very beautiful state. People are very nice, very handsome, built. The girls are very beautiful. The villages are very picturesque. The mountains are, it's very unique. But it's also home to one of the largest, longest lasting insurgency movement in our country, the Naga insurgency and other Meitei and other Kuki issues that are going on. And my battalion was inducted there, and I was there in December 1993. We went there. I went home for a spot of leave after we got inducted after a very painful tenure. And I attended the funeral of Colonel Neelakantan Nair, who was killed by Naga insurgents in an encounter in Nagaland. And he, along with 18 other men, gallant men of 16 Marathas, was killed. And I had attended his funeral in Trivandrum. And I was back in Tamenglong, and my mission was to hunt, locate, and if necessary, kill the insurgents who were hiding and planning to blow off some towers, microwave towers, and which was communicating, which was a method of communication in this mode of communicating the army to induct. So that jungles are awesome enough to, it's terrible enough. It's got leeches, it's got carnivorous pythons, it's got animals, it's got, mosquitoes, and it's got every kind of thing. And the large areas are turned into booby traps and minefields. And it's a very difficult terrain that you actually go through when you're battling them. And as luck would have it, it is, people can call it by any name: luck, destiny, fate, good luck, or just chance or providence. I landed in the right village after 6 days of hunting the jungles. I was there in the right village, and insurgents had taken up position there. Anyone walks to your door with a gun in his hand, or 2, 3 guns and 5, 6. There's no way any villager or anyone in the city can refuse to say that I won't allow you to enter. So there was this people who were there. They were hiding, and I knocked on the door. I was greeted with a volley of bullets on my shoulder, my arms. Then I had a grenade blast which was there on my leg, which was thrown at me, which I tried to away. And it's just, and I had my buddies with me, Havildar Hardev Singh, and there was a couple of them who came and pulled me out, so that I was still in control. But I was in command of the whole thing. I was losing a lot of blood, and I wanted to give a mission accomplished report. It was about an hour of fight. They're very good fighters. The Nagas are very good soldiers. They are from a very, very proud race, and they are good fighters. And they are also ably helped by other countries in the neighborhood. So the fight went on. They had the best of weapons. But then I decided that I had to give a mission accomplished report to my commanding officer. And I decided to announce to him that I'm going to blow off the house. And that's when they started. And two children came out. Now, nothing prepares you for that moment when you see, while it's personal between man to man, between soldiers to soldier, between combatant to combatant, weapon wearing you. But when you see two young children who are wounded in the crossfire, who had nothing to do with the war at all, they had nothing to do with the conflict. They don't even know their religion or the region that they belong to, and they were shot. And now, at that moment, the helicopter was already hovering around, and I knew that the children had no chance of survival. She was young enough to be like young sister's daughter or something. I was very young those days, and she was hardly 10 or 13 years old, and she was very innocent. This is the jungle. These are the mountainous terrain. These are the Kuki Naga clashes. And this is a child. If you look at it, the innocence of the child is it kind of hits you in your face that you be really responsible, because I knew there's certainly are weapons that actually shot them. So when the helicopter had come to evacuate me, I said that it's my dying wish. I want the child to be taken. And my commanding officer made sure that he flew out, and the the child was there, and he was flown to Tamenglong, and the helicopter pilot came back for me. And I was flown to Dimapur, and I remained there in the hospital for a long time as I recovered. One of the things about the armed forces is that it teaches you clearly, it honors you for what you do. It honors you for your gallantry, and it honors you for a lot of things that you do. You're paid to be a soldier, bear weapons, and, call. And this is the President of India conferring the Shaurya Chakra on me for this thing. And our motto, the credo of the soldier is the safety, honor, welfare of my country comes first, always and every time. The safety, honor, welfare of men I command comes next. And my own safety, honor, and welfare comes last, always and every time. And I'm proud that I lived up to that credo, because there's nothing, like I told you, that we are all trained. I'm paid for this. I'm prepared for this. I've been trained for 4 years in the academy. I've been through fine battalions which are battle hardened, been seen action in Bangladesh, international places. It's been everywhere. And we were prepared for this moment. We are either, it is a very personal thing. It's either kill or be killed. So we are prepared for this. But there's nothing in our thing that we can actually transfer on this liability to a young child, someone who's not part of the combat. And that's the reason why I chose what I did. But yet, it traumatized me, because I never knew whether the child has survived or has it. No, I only know that the villagers at that moment, the mother fell at my feet and touched me, with affection. I don't even speak the language; they don't speak my language, but I knew affection, that bonding between humans. When a mother knows that a person has that, that is something that is very unique, and I knew it at that moment. And probably their prayers saved me. And I went on. It was a long time. A patrol 16 years later goes to that village. I went to the village, and I met all this people, and the mother. This is the mother. This is the child. This is the girl who was shot. This is the boy. You know, and very interestingly, I also met three people who were part of that thing. This is a man who threw a grenade at me. So it's been this healing. It's a long time for me to come. During this period of 16 years, there was a lot of emotional. Whether you're really responsible for killing somebody, or you never knew it. Anyway, that patrol went there, and I returned to Manipur, and it was nice. I got a lot of things. By the time I'd moved into the National Security Council in the Prime Minister's office, as luck would have it, and then the village headman who was there, that encounter came. I took him to G.K. Pillay. I went there. I got the then Minister of State, Mr. Pallam Raju, to help with the road. The road was connecting. And then Gadkari, our current Honorable Minister now for roadways, he sanctioned a 90-kilometer highway connecting, making it an all-well. This road, if you see, is not of black top. So this is something that he sanctioned. So Devi Shetty trained a number of girls from there. He continues to train girls from that village in that area to as nurses in Narayana Hyderale. And we've been doing a lot of good work. And then I worked with an IAS officer who was from Manipur cadre. Actually helped me set up this foundation. It's called the Long D. Pabram Foundation, along with two little girls. And our aim is to support people, in conflict affected communities to develop coping mechanisms so that people don't have to go through the reason why they work. So we create cross cultural harmony, promote respect for everyone, irrespective of race, religion, tribe, community, whatever, it doesn't matter, the state. We work with non-security forces and non-state actors also, so that we respect women, children, non-combatants, and others. So this brings me to the end of my talk, and I'd like to tell you a small little story at the end of it. Everyone has fears in their life. Everyone is afraid, and I must tell you my own story. I was always afraid. Not only when I became an officer, I was afraid whether I'll become a coward in front of my men, whether I'll be afraid of those gunshots and I'll run away from battle, whether whether I'll be a morally bankrupt man who, go berserk. If you read about Vietnam War, you'll find there was a captain who massacred villagers in the Mylai. And you keep hearing stories about people stripped of guilt and everything else. So I was really afraid about myself. And it is not something that you're all born. So absence of fear is not an abnormality. Sorry, the fear itself is not an abnormality. It is neither is it shameful. Everyone should be afraid. And actually being able to function in the face of fear is what is more important. Now, why I'm this picture is this is me as a young 12-year-old boy dressed in a fancy dress competition as a Naga warrior, and with all the spears and everything, because my father also served in the same area in 1950s, late 50s and 60s. So at these things, and here all I had to do was to stand in front of the stage and probably just do a little bit of a thing, and I would have got the first prize easily because my this thing was very good. But I just ran into the stage, threw my and ran away. And for me, the whole audience started laughing, and I recall that my father was very embarrassed. He's an army officer, and my son was not even able to stand there in front of them. So he asked me, "What is your problem?" I said, "I was very afraid." I said, "About what?" He says, "All those people were looking at me." And he said, "You are, how are you ever going to face people in your life if you are afraid?" So they're right next to. We were in Bangalore, an AC center, which is in Agram. I don't know if anyone of you in Bangalore. And next to the mess is a very old, 200-year-old graveyard, right next to officer's mess there. And this is the picture from that graveyard. He actually, from that, right from the function, he took me right into the graveyard. It was around 7 o'clock. He says, "Okay, here there are a lot of ghosts around. And, I think you should take a walk around and come back here. And if something happens to you, I'll see, And so then he actually, as a 12-year-old boy walking in a graveyard, which is 100 years old with kind of ghosts. And we are afraid even now. But he made me walk through that alone and come back. And it just helped me. He told me, it is in your mind. Whatever you want to do in your life, it is all in your mind. It is the same ear, same hand, same leg, same eyes. Everything is the same. That that distinguishes a person. It's how you face it. You should be a person who is in charge, in control of your senses, who's control of everything. He can control his fear, he can control his anger, he can control whatever he wants, because it's the humans who have actually come and achieved superhuman deeds. So it says, if you the moment you are afraid, you're finishing yourself, you're killed yourself, because then you can't function. And that's one of the key lessons that he taught me. And that after that, I've never been afraid, not only physically, but also morally, to speak the truth, to stand up for what is right, so do what is the right thing, the difficult over the easy, choose the inconvenient over the convenient, choose the truth over falsehood. That is something that I've learned my lesson as a young 12-year-old boy. And then the second thing is about violence. Violence is very riveting, and it is not, again, violence again is not shameful. There are reasons why we go to war. There are reasons why, but the thing is, violence is wars, violence, conflict is more riveting. Peace is mundane and boring. But all religions, whether it be Hinduism or everyone, allows that, we are capable. But then it restricts. So it restricts the kind of thing that we can actually, kind of the manner in which we can actually fight and do what is right or wrong. And as soldiers, we find a lot of dilemmas: the military necessity and humanity, recognizing the moral equivalent of everyone, making impossible choices between bad alternatives. It is, and it all comes from our ethical, moral, and our base values. So it's a battlefield for us in the true sense. There is a battlefield where people are trying to kill you, but even in everyday life, there is a battlefield. There's a constant battlefield where we are battling between the right and wrong and everything. So what I'm trying to say is that violence itself is not bad. Violence, you have to take decisions that will harm other people. You may have to take decisions as a boss to sack people, to cut down the two unpleasant things. So that's also a battle. So and we are trained for it. Our PT ustads, our drill ustads, our seniors rag us, and they make us, and they haze us for a particular reason to prepare us for this. It's the same thing in which ISIS kind of members, the terror organizations also show their brutality. And even democracies like USA, which stands up for human rights and everything. I was in Iraq as a international Red Cross delegate, and I realized that the kind of they've bombed them back to the Middle Ages. Iraq, Syria, and all those countries are today. Afghanistan are like not what they were about 20 years ago or 10 years ago, and Vietnam. So it's like they're the only country that has used atom bombs. So what we must know is that we all violence is regulated, but how to know to end the violence and when to start the peace process is important. And any violence that is uses extremes is very difficult to reconcile. It is then you have those things that it is better to die in battle than to live the life of a coward. And people seek. So that's very important for us to understand. And again, one thing like war, I say here, it's about ethics. It's also your choices. Tomorrow, when you are in places, you should always choose and respect the dignity of every human being that we have comes across. We should choose to flourish peace over violence, because once you get into violence, the cycle is unending. You must always choose to forgive, and forget for whatever that is there. And so reconciliation is much better than being, to defeat or kill. And that I've seen it when I'm in Iraq. I've seen the kind of anger that resentment has been building up. And that's the reason why, even in World War II happened because of unequal terms of peace that was given at the Versailles. And that explains why India gave very magnanimous terms to its Pakistan in 1972. And we've also rehabilitated all their prisoners. 93,000 prisoners that were taken 50 years ago were all rehabilitated, including former President Musharraf. So you must understand that there is greater strength in forgiving and forgetting and reconciliation that requires greater magnanimity. And that brings me to the end of my talk. I want to thank you for your time. And I really am grateful to you all for having listened to me. And so thank you very much.